Hello, everybody. It's Deb, host of the Blonde Blitz. Happy 2025! Tonight, in honor of the new year, I wanted to take a look back over some of the best moments of season 2 with kind of a Blonde Blitz rewind. Myself and the crew will be back next week live to blitz you guys with all things NFL for playoffs and the road to Super Bowl. I cannot wait to bring you guys that coverage. I hope you all had a great holiday season with loved ones and Happy New Year. I've got a great show for you guys tonight. My special guest and my co-host is the president, the founder and president of Off the Field NFL Wives Association. Her name is Cynthia Zordish. She's also the founder of the NFL Thread, a private platform for NFL women to connect. She's married to former 12-year vet of the NFL safety, Michael Zordick, also from Penn State, also go Birds. So now it's time for my special guest, my co-host, Cynthia Zordish, founder and president of Off the Field NFL Wives Association and founder of NFL Thread. Cynthia, where you at?
Am I in?
There you are. Yay! Cynthia's here. Welcome to the Blonde Blitz.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to be here. I want to make sure that it's clear that although I am so proud to be the president of Off the Field NFL Wives, I'm certainly not the founder in that it's over 23 years old, and Sharice Brown, Ramonda Jordan, and Ashley Brown are the founders, and they have done such a fantastic job of carrying on the torch and keeping everything moving in such a growing direction with Off the Field. So I'm very proud to be the president, and so I just want to make sure that clear and give kudos to them. But thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I met Sharice and Yolanda during Super Bowl. They were amazing. I got to work with them both, and they're both amazing women. Was very lucky to spend time with them. So let's talk about Off the Field. As the president, tell me, what is the organization?
So really and truly, it's made up of a group of dynamic NFL women. It's spouses and wives of NFL players, and that could be former or current. And really, it's about going out into the community, impacting the communities, serving the communities, and serving each other, like offering resources to each other, the opportunity to connect and grow and elevate each other. And that's what we've been doing. A lot of people, of course, know about our fashion show that we do each year at the Super Bowl.
And we do
it's such an incredible fundraiser, and it's such a great time. And for instance, our last Super Bowl, we always pick a charity, and we there's so many amazing charities that we actually have to go through a voting situation to figure out who we are going to give to. This past year, the Blitnikoff Foundation was our charitable organization, and that had NFL ties with Fred and Angela. And what they do is just incredible. So we work like we're workhorses there, but it's also still so much fun. And I think that we just really and truly, not only us as a board, not only the members, but just all of the NFL family that take part in this fashion show, and then the community and the sponsors. So it's just incredible, and we're excited to get to New Orleans.
And I love that you just said family, because I actually, during Super Bowl, went around and asked all of the players, what does football is family mean to you? I was going to ask this question last, but since we're here, I'll ask it almost first. What does that quote mean to you? And some of the answers I got were amazing. So.
Yeah, it is incredible. Well, it's the premise of every single thing that I do and everything that I've done, even since my husband played. For me, it's like we are looking out for each other. For me personally, I always want to help NFL families grow as individuals. So ever since my husband was playing, the first thing I got to do was I was a sideline photographer for the Eagles. Got me on the sideline. I was taking so many great opportunities to get portraits of the players, and then able to print them, have them sign them on Tuesdays, and then we were able to put them in the auctions for Eagles Flag for Leukemia and the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. So I was always kind of like wanting to dive into the players outside of the game. And early on, I was my first project was like, well, what's going to be like when we're not here? We need to warn other people. They need to know what it's going to be like. And that's when I did When the Clock Runs Out, where I interviewed so many players that had left the game so that I could help families stay together when that time came, because it seemed like in transition, so many families, NFL families, were falling apart because they just didn't understand the magnitude of transition. They weren't prepared for transition and leaving the game. And so everything that I've done, from that to Thread to the playbook to off the field, it's really all about that. It's like, how can I help this NFL family of mine be the best that they can be outside of the game? How can I help them grow and stay together and help each other grow and elevate each other?
Awesome. And you mentioned being the co-author of When the Clock Runs Out. What gave you the idea to do that book?
It was really, I was living, it was our life. My husband's teammate, Andy Harmon, had just been released. And, he's our group. Like, we had a wonderful group between, Rhett and Julie Hall and Kevin Turner and Joyce Turner and Andy and Christy Harmon. We were just together all the time. So when Andy got released, we went to his house for dinner. Christy had us over, and we were talking about everything but football. Like, nobody brought up the game. And the guys were preparing for a game that weekend. It was right in the middle of the season. So I was like, Michael, we didn't talk about the game at all. It was like Andy never played the game. And he's like, yeah, babe, that's just what we do. Like, we're not going to do it. We're not going to talk about the game, and we're not going to talk about like him not playing the game. I said, that is so weird. I mean, that is what we are, and that is what we do. Is this what it's going to be like when we're out? I mean, are we going to all of a sudden have nothing in common with everybody that we forged these beautiful friendships with? I don't think I'm not about that. Like, this isn't good. And I said, I want to really find out what we're in for, because Michael was going into his 11th year. He was ready to kill me. He's like, he had no intention of being done. And here's me researching being done. Like,
He's like,
because I
no,
was like, I want.
no.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, I want to know what it's like, and he said, When the Clock Runs Out. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. So I want to find out. So my husband's agent, Jimmy Solano, knew Bill Lyon very well from Philly. And he was just the most incredible sports writer ever, and iconic, out of Philadelphia. And so he teamed us up, and I was like, I'll get the guys, I'll set up the interviews, I'll speak to the Ys, I'll go out and photograph everybody. And if you could do all the interviews and write the stories, we can get this collaboration. It'll almost be like a manual. Like, what better way to learn from each other than by storytelling, right?
Right.
So we did it. I had Ronnie Lott, Hollywood Henderson, Rocky Blyer, Mike Ditka, Dan Reeves.
Wow.
Just like incredible, Bill Fralick, Ron Wolfley, all their stories. I picked them based on what they went through. And each of them had like a fall and then a resurgence, so it was like the hardship and the triumph of letting go of the game. And all of their wives gave me so much great advice that, not lying to you, it couldn't have been worse. My book came out. Michael did not get picked up by the Eagles, and he was done. And they actually they're so sweet. They wanted to have a retirement party for him. They wanted to do the whole thing on the field, the whole motorcycle, everything. And he's like, I'm not retiring. I'm not done. I'm still playing. And he was 36 years old. And I was just like, we were really good friends now. The Lauries were so young, when they had become owners when we were in Philly. So I think Jeffrey was 42 years old. So we knew them. So I'm like, ow, he's not done, And so for my book signing, the reporters came and nobody wanted to talk to me about my book. They all had the mic in front of Michael's face going, you're living your wife's book. How do you feel about that? And he's like, I'm going to kill her.
By the way, I'm a huge Eagles fan right here.
Yay! I love the Eagles. I love the Eagles.
Yes.
The Birds. I just love them so much. Yeah, indeed. So the book helped me, though, because when Michael was out, he was pretty angry. He was doing everything to get back in. He was teaching himself to play the piano. I was working on, that's when your work really begins when you do a book, is after the book is done. I was really working on promoting the book and marketing the book. And he was just really, really angry. But I was like, you know what? Every wife pulled me aside and said, just be patient. It is called transition for a purpose.
Mhm.
It will pass. He will come, through, and just be patient with him. And I thought it really helped me. So I was really happy about the book, that I actually could see for myself that, it's good to learn from each other, these stories.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Where can everyone buy your book, first of all? And then I want you to give out your socials as well.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, everything that I do, and even leading to off the field as well, that I will give you off the fields information, but everything that I do is on nflthread.com. So from there, you can find the playbook. You can find our flag football game that's coming up for the Super Bowl. You can find off the field. You can find a being a matchbox, and when the clock runs out. So everything that I do, I just put on the site. So thank goodness for it. And then off the field is offthefieldnflwa.org. And so if anybody's interested in joining, you can join right from the site. If anybody's interested in the fashion show, follow Off the Field NFL Wives Association on Instagram. Me, I'm NFL Thread on Instagram.
Awesome. And I have to say, everyone, the fashion show is to die for. I was there at the Super Bowl. I've covered the last 5 Super Bowls, and I haven't been able to get to the fashion show. And this season, I finally could. And I was there on the red carpet interviewing everybody, and also watched the show, and I was just blown away. So everyone needs to go to that event, and it's also for charity. Right?
Yeah, yes, it will be another great charity, and it's always sold out, and it's actually a reason to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's really a reason to go, and nobody should miss it ever. So, but it is wonderful. Again, and definitely stay tuned and follow on Instagram for that, for sure, because everybody is invited, and it is such a great time.
Awesome. Well, Cynthia, thank you so much for joining me today on the Blonde Blitz. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much.
Of course. We're going to now transition to, let's talk some football about week 2. I'm going to transition to sports betting analyst Alex White. She's coming to us from the Sportsbook TV studio from South Point Casino in Las Vegas, where Super Bowl was last year. Alex, where should everybody put their money this week? Let me know.
Alex White here. I am very excited to be a part of the Blonde Blitz here with Deb and company. NFL is back, and week 1 did not disappoint. I'm looking forward to this second week, and I'm going to give you a best bet. I'm not going to make you wait till Sunday. It is Thursday night football. Buffalo Bills at Miami. Dolphins are a 2-point favorite. Well, it's an advantage already for Miami. Back-to-back home games. Short week for Buffalo to travel. You're going to hear a lot of chatter about the Bills owning the Dolphins. Well, the players are going to hear that too, and I think they're going to rise to the occasion. Buffalo is coming off a shootout against the Cardinals, and I promise you, Miami's defense is a lot better than Arizona's. There's a lot of drop-off with the Bills in this roster. I have Miami as the better top-to-bottom team in my power ratings. I love this bet. I hope you take it. I hope we cash some tickets. I know the Dolphins were lucky to win in week 1 too, but they were by far the better team in that second half against the Jags. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle both had over 100 receiving yards. This offense is just getting started. Dolphins -2. Have a great rest of your week, everyone, and weekend. I'll see you again next week. Deb, thank you so much.
Shut up and take my money.
All right, Alex, thank you so much. Alex will be here every week with her betting knowledge. You can also catch her on Punchlines with Frank Nicotero on Mondays and Wednesdays from South Point Casino, as well as Sports by the Book on YouTube. Her IG is at Alex White with 2 E's at the end there. Upsets galore in week 2, folks. We'll touch on that in a minute. But first, 12 games were decided by one score, including 5 that had the game-winning score in the final minute of regulation or overtime. There have been 22 games decided by 8 points or fewer this season. Only one previous season in 2013 beats that record with 23 games. 4 teams, the LA Chargers, Vikings, Saints, and Seahawks, have begun the season 2-0 after missing the playoffs last season. Moving on to NFC, AFC Players of the Week. You know I love this one. On the offense, running back Alvin Kamara of the New Orleans Saints. He scored an NFL season-high 4 touchdowns, 3 rushing, 1 receiving, and totaled 180 scrimmage yards. The Saints lead the NFL with 91 points this season. The most points by a team in the first 2 games of a season in 15 years. On the defense, safety Jesse Bates of the Atlanta Falcons, he recorded 12 tackles, 2 passes defensed, 1 interception, and a tackle for loss in Atlanta's 22-21 come from behind victory against Philadelphia. Bates, of course, got the game-sealing interception with 27 seconds remaining in the game. Special teams kicker Austin Seibert of the Washington Commanders. He recorded the second most points in the NFL in Week 2 at 21. He converted all 7 of his field goal attempts in the Commanders' 21-18 victory over the Giants. He holds that franchise record. Moving on to AFC. On the offense, running back James Cook of the Buffalo Bills. He scored 3 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving, and totaled 95 scrimmage yards, helping Buffalo defeat Miami 31-10. Cook's 49-yard rushing touchdown is the longest in the NFL this season. On the defense, DE Max Crosby of the Las Vegas Raiders. He recorded 6 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and a pass defensed. His 4 tackles for loss are the most in a single game among AFC players this season. And special teams, Kayami Fairbairn of the Houston Texans. Fairbairn he converted all 4 of his field goals attempts in the Texans' 19-13 victory over the Bears. Sunday Night Football, of course, including 3 from over 50 yards, becoming the first player all time with multiple career games of 3 or more 50-yard field goals made. Finally, upsets. I'm going to say it one more time, upsets. The Vikings beat the 49ers 23-17. Cowboys got destroyed by the Saints 44-19. Ravens blew a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter against the Raiders. Final score, 26-23. Lions blew a home loss to a banged-up Buccaneers 2016. Chiefs almost lost to the Bengals, but escaped due to a last-second 51-yard field goal by Harrison Butker, 26-25. And the Philadelphia Eagles got poo-pooed on by the Dirty Birds, 22-21. The Falcons, of course, with that go-ahead touchdown by Drake London in the last 34 seconds of the game. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Shay, how are you?
What an introduction. Thank you.
I'm so excited that you're here today on the Blonde Blitz. Thanks for stopping by.
Oh, I really appreciate you having me.
Of course. So we've been friends for a while, and your designs are incredible, and I know you love it. But you also love sports too, NFL in particular. How were you able to combine the two?
You know, it's always been a natural fit for me. Ever since I was a kid, my dad was actually an NFL hopeful. And the military draft kind of cut short that dream of his. But I think he had me playing football by the time I could walk. And, football is bigger than I was. And so it's just always been something that has united our family. And a lot of my family worked for the Steelers. And then growing up in the Midwest, we call it Big Ten country. And so it was actually a bunch of former players and pro athletes who kind of then helped me move forward in my career with design. I was sitting at the house of one of these athletes one day, and he's watching HGTV. And now this is before I was on it years ago. And I'm like, why are you sitting here watching HGTV? Like, what is it that's so fascinating about it? And so then I was introduced to HGTV through an athlete, and a lot of my friends that have retired from the NFL went into real estate. So it's just been this natural marriage that for me has just always been there in my life.
What do you think the draw is with design and NFL players?
That's such a great question, because I know we were going to talk a little bit later about this, but I'm going to bring it up now. When we were pitching a show bringing up both design and sports, and football in particular, we found so many players who were into design, so many who had gone to school for it, so many who have studied design. And part of it, I think, is just that because of their life and because it's very difficult for them to go out in public, oftentimes home becomes that sanctuary. Home becomes the place that they can rest and rejuvenate, not have to answer questions, especially if there's been a loss that week or something like that. And so it really, sanctuary is definitely the word that I think the player finds. And then because of, once they get up to a certain level, a lot of them you'll find, it's not just Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or other, Patrick Mahomes. They're not the only ones buying homes and then selling them, buying and selling and buying. And so they begin to get really familiar with real estate and design because they're designing their own places over and over and over again.
Okay, so what is my last question? What is the craziest request that you've gotten from an NFL athlete? Like stripper pole, giant slide from level 4 to level 3, like lazy river, give it to me.
That's funny. You'd be surprised that at least maybe because I work more with people from the Midwest, the requests aren't wild. Unlike maybe in LA.
That's true.
Which I won't even tell you what I've seen in LA. Some of my clients in LA, I do have to tell them.
You will get that out of you at one point.
Yeah, as you know, in LA, I'll have to, it can get really uncomfortable because you're really in people's, private spaces, everything from their drawers to their closets to, everything about them. But one of the projects I'm working on now, the client wants a dining table to seat 25 people. 25 people.
They like entertaining. They like the whole football team to come.
Right. But it's a multi-generational family. And I'm like, okay, now, so we want, to be able to separate them for when they're not in use, but most of the time they will be. And just the configuration, seating, lighting, and so the requests that I get are more in line with how the players actually live. And this player, like I said, does have multi-generational family members that'll be living on the property. And so this is not an out of, the box request for them. This is how we live. We want to focus more on our family. We want to grow our family, and we need the space to be able to do that. And so, so it's a lot of fun because, again, for me, I love solving problems. And with the players, a lot of times it's more, okay, here's the problems, just like any client, though. It's the same with my HGTV clients. A lot of times what makes a home great is that you've solved a problem, you've made the home functional, and you've made it feel like a really good place just to relax in.
And to be home. All right. Well, Shay, thank you so much for coming on the show. Well, now we know that NFL players aren't getting hurt from a sliding in their houses, but they are getting hurt on the field. More so, I think, this year than any season in the past recently. Please welcome Brian Scott from Inside the Medical Tent to the show. Brian.
The doctor is in now.
I love it.
There he is. Hi, Brian.
What's up? I'm actually inside the virtual athletic training room for That Sports Podcast Network. If you look around, we got our sponsors.
Look at that. It's hard to see.
The wall there.
Very fancy.
Is it?
So, Brian, so many injuries in week 1 and 2, right? So many injuries.
Yeah,
in week 1 and
it's been a little crazy. It's been a little crazy, but you cannot blame the turf this year because we haven't seen any ACL injuries yet.
But in that game in Brazil, I mean, come on. That
fine. I'll give you that.
Jordan Love, maybe not for a couple
give
weeks.
You that.
Okay.
Well, part of the problem there too was they were in Brazil, so the workup wasn't quite what it would have been had they been home. So that took a little bit of time to develop and figure out what was going on with him, location being the issue there. But other than that, it's been a wide variety of injuries, which has kind of struck me as most peculiar this year, rather than where a couple of years ago, everybody was tearing their hamstring, everybody was tearing their ACL. This year, it's been a very wide array of injuries that have come out. Going back to preseason, when you have a guy like A.J. Dillon with a brachial plexus injury that's now keeping him out for the entire year. Then you have J.J. McCarthy tearing his meniscus, having that repaired, losing his entire rookie season. And it's just been one kind of weird thing after another. The whole CMC calf that turned into an Achilles injury that now saw him go on IR. And then you've got, the Jordan Love injury, of course, Puka Nacua with a PCL sprain now on IR. I mean, like the list just keeps growing. Cooper Kupp. I feel like he's always on the injured list at some point during the years here. But this is like akin to his season a few years ago where he missed an extensive period of time with ankle issues. So again, he's down with an ankle. It's just been like, and then Hollywood Brown with the sternoclavicular injury, which is an odd injury in and of itself to get in football. It's just been a lot of weird stuff. And I don't really know what's going on.
Too, right?
Yeah. Justin Jefferson with like an ankle or something he's dealing with all of a sudden coming out of nowhere.
But it's not great. Justin Herbert.
Herbert with plantar fasciitis. Him and Keenan Allen, I think maybe they got the same thing going on. Maybe they're wearing the same shoes. I don't know. But a lot of weird stuff. There hasn't been any like real particular pattern this season. But one thing I did notice, and this was a little concerning, is that they went out of their way to make the hip drop tackle illegal. And yet I've seen multiple hip drop tackles result in injuries already. In fact, Joe Mixon this past weekend clearly got taken down by a hip drop tackle. Nothing was called. He might miss some time this week with that injury. They had an MRI. It was nothing serious. But, if they're going to try to make the game safer for guys, they've got to make that call. And there's been several instances already this young season that I've noticed where guys have gotten taken down with obvious hip drop tackles and they have not thrown the flag. So I'm not sure what's going on there, Deb.
What about for week 3? A lot of the audience, sports betting, fantasy, who should, who's in, who's out?
Well, the big news, obviously, aside from Joe Mixon possibly being out, was the Cooper Kupp injury, and then Evan Ingram dealing with the hamstring issue. He is questionable heading into this weekend as well, even though they have a Monday night football game coming up, which gives him basically an extra day. He actually injured it in warmups on Sunday and was a very late last-minute scratch, which is really odd. And if you listen to my other guest appearances and stuff, you'll know that hamstring injuries, it's kind of like all or nothing when you injure them. It's usually not a mild kind of subtle thing. So my guess is he'll probably miss that Monday night football game this week. We'll have to see what he does in the next few days here, but it's not boding well. And then Deebo Samuel with the calf strain, they've already said he's going to miss a few weeks. So that's another guy out. We got guys like Josh Downs who are trying to make their way back from ankle injuries. I was expecting him to be ready this weekend, so we'll have to see if he's able to ramp up his activity as we head to the final stretch of the practices this week. And then Pacheco with a fibula fracture, he's going to be out at least 6 to 8 weeks.
You just named my
sounds
entire
like he might even go on IR.
My entire fantasy team. I have Puka. I have Isaiah Pacheco. If Mahomes,
you're not alone, Deb.
Yeah,
you're not alone. There's been a lot of high-profile names on there, for sure. Good news is not a lot of major injuries as of yet, even though they will cost these guys some time. They're not season-ending or career-threatening. Most of these guys will get better and be back out there. But, here we are, shortened preseason, extended regular season. You got to wonder about durability in this new league.
All right, Brian, thank you so much for coming on. We'll see you again soon.
Six teams, the Ravens, Panthers, Broncos, Colts, Rams, and Giants earned their first win of the season in week 3. 5 teams, the Vikings, Steelers, Seahawks, Bills, and Chiefs, improved to 3-0. QB Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills was named AFC Offensive Player of the Week, completing 23 of 30 attempts for 263 yards and 4 touchdowns. Allen's 4 touchdown passes are tied for the most in an NFL game this season. This is the 13th award for Allen. Rookie QB Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders was named NFC Player of the Week for completing 21 of 23 pass attempts in Week 3, the highest completion percentage in a game by a rookie in NFL history, beating Dak Prescott from December 18th, 2016. CB Jalen Jones of the Indianapolis Colts was named AFC Defensive Player. Jones recorded 5 tackles, 2 interceptions, and a tackle for loss in the Colts' 21-16 victory over the Bears. LB Jonathan Greenard of the Minnesota Vikings was named NFC Player as he recorded 4 tackles and 3 sacks in Minnesota's 34-17 victory against Houston. Greenard's 3 sacks helped the Vikings become the 3rd team since 1990 with at least 5 sacks in each of their first 3 games, joining the 2021 Saints and the 2000s Buccaneers. Kicker Will Lutz of the Denver Broncos was named Special Teams AFC Player of the Week as he converted both extra points and all 4 of his field goal attempts. Lutz's 14 points scored were the most by any kicker in NFL week number 3. And finally, punter Jack Fox of the Detroit Lions was named Special Teams NFC Player as he recorded 5 punts with 4 landing inside the 20-yard line, 3 of which landed inside the 10-yard line, and 1 inside the 5. Hey guys, and now for hot takes, Brian Snow from Snowman Media. Hey Brian, how are you?
How is it going, my dear? Good to hang out with you tonight.
I'm so excited that you're here. I always come on your show, and I was like, Brian, you have got to come on my show, right? So I know.
As soon as I saw the invite, I jumped all over it. Like, I got to do this. I got to do this.
I appreciate that. So I know you are a huge San Francisco fan. We talk about it often. What the hell happened? The Rams?
I don't have an answer to that except the defense. I don't have an answer except the defense collapsed, which is something I rarely see in the final 7 minutes of a ball game. Mm-hmm. But as I told everyone, including my wife, who witnessed it with me, I'd rather go through the struggles now with the new defensive coordinator and people like that in place than to go through it in December with a playoff spot on the line like we were somewhat doing in 2021, even though we got a hot streak. It depended on the final week of the season against the Rams, oddly enough, for us to get into the playoffs. So I'd rather take the struggles now in September than to be going through it in December and possibly January.
Are you worried at all, though? I mean, a lot of injuries.
Look, this is 2020 all over again, but it'll have a different result because we're getting some reinforcements back earlier than what we went through in 2020. Because in 2020 we were just beat up, and we were beaten up coming into the season. Because remember, Christian McCaffrey wound up going on IR, and then we lose Deebo Samuel. The other thing about the 49ers, I've never seen a 49ers team drop 6 passes. I've never seen that before. But Samuel out, Kittle out, McCaffrey out. They're trying to get Jordan Mason into the passing game, which is the versatility that McCaffrey brings. So they're trying to figure all that out as we go along. But I'll take the struggles now with a 1-2 record and a chance for us to get right against the Patriots before our gauntlet begins than to deal with the gauntlet now, get through that, and then have a couple teams sneak up on us while we're still considerably beaten up in December.
Well, and speaking of gauntlet, how bad are the Browns?
Oh, my Lord.
Deshaun Watson.
Gosh.
Shall we discuss? What? I mean, is he washed up?
Deshaun Watson is done.
Yeah.
Finished.
$230 million contract in league history.
Down the tubes.
Yes. fully guaranteed. Worst contract in LA in NFL history for sure. But yeah, I mean, and he's got 2 more seasons guaranteed.
What the hell were the Browns thinking in making?
Yeah.
Listen,
Did you watch?
I saw them lose to the New York Football Giants.
Exactly. They did.
With Deshaun Watson in tow and Deshaun Watson as their starter. And I'm thinking they paid this man over $200 million for what?
Yep. To watch him to botch that snap with 4 minutes remaining.
Gosh.
Yeah.
That was a ball game.
He just should have thrown it to Atkins. He had that easy first down, honestly,
Ball game.
If they lose to the Raiders, just bench him. Like Jameis Winston's ready. Like, let's go.
Absolutely. Right? I mean, I never thought Deshaun Watson would bottom out this bad.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
And early, I mean, we're in the 3rd week, going on the 4th. Like he already should be benched.
He should be benched already.
Last year, I was like, bench Staley. This season, I'm saying bench Deshaun Watson. I'm saying it right there, folks.
Yes.
On the complete opposite side of the Browns, the Steelers. Can we discuss them? They're fire. Like, their defense is so good.
I have 4 words about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is my hot take of the week. Don't believe the hype.
Really?
Look, talk to me in week 15 or 16.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian, so much. And we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Please.
Absolutely, you will. Absolutely, you will.
Awesome. See you soon. All right, guys. My next guest is a Super Bowl champ of NFL family members, NFL wife, sister-in-law, and NFL mom. She's a client of HGTV's Shay Holland, and we're both here to talk football and design. Everybody, please welcome Robin Graham and Shay Holland. Hi, ladies. How are you? Hi. Robin, I don't think we can hear you.
Oh, yeah.
You're on mute. Hi, there she is. Hi.
Hi, I'm a newbie.
You're good. No, we're so happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So Robin, I wanted to have you announce who your NFL family is.
Well, I married into the Graham family. My brother-in-law, Kent Graham, was in the league for, I believe, 11 years. My husband played in the league for 3 years and then played for a year in Montreal. And my son, Corey Davis, has played in the league for 7 years. He retired last year. And so I've been around it for quite a long time.
A really, really long time. And Kent played for the Giants. He was the quarterback for 10 years. Your husband's was the Buccaneers center, correct?
Yeah, Kent played. He actually played for several teams. He
was with the Steelers too. Yeah.
Yep. Steelers, Arizona, Jacksonville. He got around.
So did you grow up with NFL ties or?
None whatsoever. I just had a dad and a brother that loved to watch it. So always loved football, but no, it wasn't until I was till I met my husband Dan in college, and then he went on to play after that. So
what is it like being kind of a part of a NFL dynasty?
It's really fun. I love football. I have loved going to games ever since, my husband played in college, and then on to watching my brother-in-law. It's really a fun sport. It's also very nerve-wracking. I really enjoyed watching the segment right before this, because I'm like, this is what it looks like in our family room, like every day, dissecting these games. And especially when you have currently a son that's been, some of these names are very familiar. So it's very fun, and it's also very nerve-wracking, and it's all the things that you can imagine. It's a little different perspective when it's part of your family, but we love it.
What is that perspective like?
Well, you just know things that a lot of people don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of get the more of the business side of things and some of the less emotional. You know, the fan hype is real, but then as a family and as a fan and a mom and a husband, a wife of a husband that played, you just see things differently. You just know that it's a business, and sometimes it takes a little bit of, you got to grow some thick skin sometimes to be in the position that we've been in.
Well, and I think also too, everyone kind of sees NFL players as these gods, and when it comes down to it, you guys are just people. You're real families.
We're real families.
Real issues.
Oh yes, absolutely. Very normal. Very normal. We're a solid family. We love each other, and when one of us hurts or one of us has, things in our lives that are very joyful, we all celebrate and we all mourn. It's just a part of being a family, and it's been a really huge blessing to have the history with football that our families had. So it really is a very exciting and short-lived part of our lives,
Right. And Shay, I know you and Robin speaking of history, you've had a history as well. You guys have known each other for years. How did you guys meet? And tell me that story.
It's funny because actually Robin and I haven't known each other for years, but my family lives across the street from the Grahams for decades. And so the families have been connected, but Robin and I only met a couple of years ago. And it was shortly before my HGTV series aired. And then she offered to throw a launch party at their home in Arizona for that HGTV show. And that's as soon as I walked in and saw how it was designed. And I think one of the first questions I asked you, Robin, was because it looked like the house was built around the furniture because everything fits so beautifully and perfectly. Even every little nook, the piece would fit perfectly. And she said she had done it all herself. And I'm like, we're going to be fast friends, even though I've known her husband since I was a kid and her brother-in-law since I was a kid. But I just recently met Robin, and design was it. That was it.
Good connection.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Robin, where did you get your interest in design?
I don't know. I think I was born with loving art, and I was born with a creative mind. And, I look back at photos. I was looking through some photos earlier today, back from even like 10, 15 years ago. And just to see how my style has kind of changed through the years. I feel like I look back and I'm like, ooh, what was I thinking? But it was really what was going on at the time, So I love beautiful things. I love a cozy, warm home. And I do everything I can to make it a cozy, beautiful space for my family and for me. And so that's been a very, very fun part of my creative process.
Yay. Well, thank you, ladies, both for stopping by the Blonde Blitz.
Thank you for having me. It's been really fun.
Our pleasure.
Shay, where can we find you? You want to give a shout out to your socials?
Yeah, just mainly at Shay Holland Official on Instagram is probably the easiest place to find me.
Awesome. And Robin, we'd love to have you back at some point soon.
Thank you so much. Maybe when the house is like further along.
Yes. Sounds good. All right. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Hi. Thank you.
All right. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Blonde Blitz. I'm your host, Deb Whitkus. I've got a great show for you today. My NFL wife co-host used her NFL platform to start her own nonprofit called Team Richardson Foundation. Asia Richardson is here to talk about it. Courtney Harden of The Real Deal will also be here to talk hot takes with me on week 4. Funny guy and my friend Todd Dorm will lighten stuff up with his comedic break. Shay Holland, she's back to tell you the most common mistakes you're making while viewing the games. And finally, betting expert Alex White gives her best bet. Commissioner Cooper's here for fantasy, and as always, former NFL tight end from the Titans and the Bucs, Ben Troop will be here for week 5 picks. All right, guys, shall we do it? Shall we get to the show? Let's get started with headlines. I'm doing them.
All right, 9 games were decided by one score, 8 points or less, including 2 that featured the game-winning score in the final minute of regulation. There have been 39 games decided by 8 points or fewer, 38 games decided by 7 points or fewer, 32 games decided by 6 points or fewer in the season thus far. 3 rookie quarterbacks. Do you know who they are? Washington's Jaden Daniels, Denver's Bo Nix, and Chicago's Caleb Williams led their teams to win this week. All right, moving on to players of the week. We start with the NFC. Offensive player of the week, quarterback Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. Goff completed all 18 of his pass attempts for 292 yards and 3 touchdowns. This is his 6th Career Player of the Week award for him. Moving on to Defensive Player of the Week, LB Troy Anderson, Atlanta Falcons. He had a career-high 16 tackles and had a 47-yard interception return for a touchdown. He's one of 6 players since 2000 to record at least 15 tackles and an interception return touchdown in a single game. Special Teams Player of the Week, punter Torrey Taylor of the Chicago Bears. Taylor totaled, that's a bit of a tongue twister there. Taylor totaled 5 punts in Chicago's victory over the Rams. Moving on to the AFC, Offensive Player of the Week, running back Derrick Henry of the Baltimore Ravens. Henry had 209 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns, including a franchise record 87-yard touchdown run. This is the 8th Career Player of the Week award for Derrick Henry. All right, Defensive Player of the Week, DT Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs. Jones recorded 4 tackles and 2 sacks, helping Kansas City improve to 4-0 for the first time since 2018. Finally, special teams, kicker Nick Folk of the Tennessee Titans. He converted both point after attempts and all 5 of his field goal attempts, including 3 from 50 yards. This is the 10th Career Special Teams Player of the Week award for him. All right, guys, those are your headlines. Now it's time for hot takes. Welcome, Courtney Harden from The Real Deal. Hey, hi, Courtney. How are you?
What's up, Deb? How you doing? Thanks for the invite. I was jamming to that music. That was that's some hits right there. I love that beat. I was just like, okay, I got the head nod. So yes. So but again, thank you for bringing me on the show. I appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
I love having you here. You know, you're one of my favorite content creators, one of my favorite podcast peeps, and obviously a big Eagles fan as well. So we'll talk about
same.
That.
Yes, same. You know, the love is the same. So I really appreciate you.
So I know we talk NFL here, but oh my God, that Georgia-Bama game, right? Yes. Bama, came from behind to win. With less than a minute on the clock. It was wild.
Mm-hmm. That was a wild game. That was a very wild. Now it's funny because Alabama jumped on them 28-0, and I'm watching that and I'm thinking, okay, Alabama's up big. They're gonna probably just blow the doors off of Georgia, but Georgia came back, and it was just so many big play after big play after big play, and it was great. It was great TV. It was great. It was great football. Two big franchises in college football just added. It was just a great game. I really enjoyed it. Probably gonna be game of the year. How are we gonna top that? I know there's a lot of football left, but yeah.
Absolutely can't. I was with a couple friends that don't watch football, and they were all into it too.
Right.
Like they were like, we have to stop and watch this game.
Yes, exactly.
Hi everybody, I'm TD. I'm that hater from your high school football team who doesn't have enough football credentials to have an opinion, but is still willing to share his on the internet. This segment is going to have 2 main categories. Number 1, loss on the down. These are things that I have a negative opinion on. Number 2, positive yards. These are things that I'm hyped on, stoked, a lot of ampage. First loss on the down, the way that Patrick Mahomes' helmet fits. His helmet fits like he's begging the Kansas City Chiefs organization to make a Patrick Mahomes bobblehead night. Why is there so much headspace? Why does his face mask start at his hairline? All of these questions Patrick Mahomes should be asking himself, but for some reason, he doesn't. Second loss on the down, the Tostitos commercial with Tom Brady and Julian Edelman. Those guys won a lot of Super Bowls together, but they were not good enough in football to make that bad of a commercial. This is basic arithmetic. Tostitos, you don't need Julian Edelman popping out of a coffin. It's uncomfortable. Also, Tom Brady would make a terrible funeral officiant. He's good at football. He's not good at emotional consolation. Keep sponsoring college football bowl games, and we're going to keep eating your chips because they're the only ones that have a proper scoopage and a little pinch thing to the tortilla. Another loss on the down is Farmer's Dog trying to get us to feel sorry for NFL referees. NFL referee, you make a bad call, it's going to cost a team a Super Bowl. It's going to cost teams chances at the playoffs. You want us to feel bad for that? You don't have to keep making bad calls. You've got analysts in the booth in New York, analysts in the booth in Los Angeles. What you don't have to have is NFL referees getting buff in the offseason and flexing their guns to try to show off so they can audition for the next Golden Bachelor. That's all these guys are doing. Now for the positive yards. 2 massive positive yards are coming straight out of the quarterback room, baby. Number 1, Joey Cold Cuts. A friend called him that like 13 years ago, and it just sounded good. Cold Cuts has played for Baltimore, Denver, New York Jets, Cleveland, and now he's with the Indianapolis Colts. The guy went to Delaware. Did you even know that was a state, let alone that they had a football team? Joey Cold Cuts is still carving them up at 39 years old. This guy's amazing. Another massive positive yards is Jaden Daniels. This guy is playing so well that the Washington Commanders, a $6.4 billion franchise, is considering going back to being called the Redskins. Do you know how good you got to be at football for a team to revert back to 60s grade racism? Last positive yardage, Brandon Ayuk's temper tantrum at practice. $120 million this guy got paid in the offseason, and he's still mouthing off to Shanahan. I wish I could have done that growing up. My father was my football coach. First week in Hell Week, he slams a whistle over my head and tells me to take a lap. So amazing job, Brandon Ayuk, for throwing that temper tantrum. Enjoy your $120 million, and by all means, don't listen to the head coach. You don't need to.
Welcome to the How are you?
Hi. Thank you. I'm great. How are you?
Good. Having a great show so far, and I'm excited to make it even better because you're here.
Oh, thank you so very much. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So let's start with, off the field. I see it right there in the background. What is Off the Field NFL Wives Association?
So Off the Field NFL Wives is a 501c3 nonprofit organization comprised of wives, current and retired wives, and significant others. Our mission is to foster sisterhood in a community of NFL wives through our charitable endeavors. And we are the official NFL Wives organization.
And how did you get involved in it?
So I got involved as a younger wife. When I was a new mommy, and I had one of the founders, Ashley Brown, she's one of the founders, and I moved, as you know, NFL wives move a lot, and you need to, find your new community. And I was invited to a wedding, and guess what, girl? The wedding, I couldn't bring my kids. And so I knew that I wanted NFL certified babysitters. And so I reached out to Ashley, who's the founder, and she helped me to navigate the babysitter, motherhood, and resources in a new city.
Because that must be hard. Your husbands are playing, you're taking care of the family, and, you're moving cities if they get traded and whatnot, and you don't know anybody, right?
Right.
I mean, that's tough. So it's great that you have that, that sisterhood there, that kind of that bonds you guys, and you're able to reach out, because you just don't want to leave your kids with just anybody.
Exactly. And then it's like you want that sisterhood. Like, okay, girl, I use this babysitter, or I used her, or I use this doctor for pediatricians, or whatever. It's just the resources that we get and the camaraderie, and again, the sisterhood. Even from some things like, what nail tech did you use, girl? Because we want our nails together, our eyelashes, or whatever you. And so we just had that community that we could share resources and just a trusted advisor. So again, the organization has been around for 24 years.
And what's your position within the
I
board?
am the official executive director. I just became the new and first executive director for Off the Field out of their 24 years.
Wow,
Yes.
congrats.
Thank you.
That's an honor.
Yes, it is. It's honor and it's pressure.
No, I
I have to
understand.
perform and represent these beautiful, powerful women in a great way. I feel very honored.
And tell me about, you just mentioned powerful women. Tell me about the NFL wives. You know, who are you besides married to NFL players?
That's a great question. First of all, I love that question. I appreciate that question because we are the backbone of our husbands, right? And most people want to know the guys. And often we are the ones that are like, they're like, excuse me, can I get a picture? Right. Like, and then we're like the ones that like, okay, well, I'll be the cameraman and I will make sure you get an autograph or whatever, or I'm going to be your representative. Be your assistant, your nurse, your doctor, all of that. Yeah. But the truth is most of our wives are very powerful women. We have, even on our board, we have a couple of attorneys, we have doctors, we have a lot of business owners, and we have just amazing women, and that we just, you know, sometimes just don't get the credit. But without us, the guys are not performing and we make sure we're chefs and assistants and all those good things. But a lot of our wives are entertainers, right? So you have Taj George, who is married to Eddie George.
Yes, I love him.
Actually,
I interviewed him before. We did the Heisman Trophy pose together.
The balance though.
Oh yeah, I'm a dancer.
You gotta smile. Oh, you got it. You're dancing. There you go.
Oh,
he's a great
that's
guy.
Awesome.
Yeah,
so
amazing football player. So, question about all types of ages in OTF. What's your best advice that you give to younger women who are, you know, the girlfriends, the new wives, you know, of some of the players that were just drafted and just got into the league?
That's a great question. I just got that question not too long ago. My friend, who her husband just got another job, and she asked the same question because now she's on the other side from being a player's wife to now being a coach's wife. And she asked me that same question. And the first answer is keep your identity. You can find yourself so lost in the sauce and be like, just become a wife and a mom of XYZ, of the player, right? And before you married him, before you was his girlfriend, a lot of times you had a dream or you had goals. I would say keep that. Like, don't lose yourself in the limelight. Don't lose yourself in that world, because it's kind of difficult to get yourself back. And after babies and after the game is over, you're like, who am I? And you're gonna have that. Just to be completely honest, I'm on the other side, and you're just going to, just like the guy. But if you keep yourself first and you continue to remember your goals and your dreams, then the transition will be a lot easier.
Okay, so you seem to do it all, right? NFL wife, mom to 3 boys, nonprofit director, consultant, business owner. What is your secret?
My secret? Oh, my secret is faith. Is to pray, put God first as a source. Confident, believe in yourself. Oh my gosh, it is not as easy as people think. I say, when you get knocked down, get back up, put one foot in front of the other, be what you want to see. When you see a gap, or if you see something missing and you feel like you can do it better, do it, right? Believe in yourself. Know that you can. Know that it's your calling. If God put it on your heart, if you feel like it's something that you want to do, do it. Do it afraid, do it scared, do it crying, do it sad, do it mad, but do it, because we have one life and I would love to see you live it.
I just got chills. I have to say, my entire body is in chills right now. Asia, thank you so much for coming on to the Blonde Blitz and sharing your story and for your time. Where can our audience find you on socials?
Thank you so much. So my social is I'm Asia Lachey. Also on Facebook, Asia Richardson. LinkedIn, Asia Richardson, traditionally spelled. So it's ASIA Richardson, traditionally spelled. So across the board, Asia Richardson, but on Instagram, I'm Asia Lachey.
Awesome. Well, I hope to have you back. Please come back.
Please. And I would love to see more off the
again.
field
Yes.
members and board members and guests to show up for the ladies, so you could bring a little bit of that pink femininity.
Go here for the Blonde Blitz. All right, Asia, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.